What is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. Hey, in this video I wanted to share with you guys my top 5 tips for experiencing success in the Crucible in the PvP environments here in Destiny 2. And this video applies whether you are a seasoned Destiny veteran and you play a gratuitous amount of Destiny 1, or if you are brand new to the franchise, you're brand new to the Destiny universe, and you just hopped into the mix here with the launch of Destiny 2. Regardless of where you are in terms of your experience with this game, these 5 tips will apply to you, I guarantee it. So let's dive right into it. The very first thing that I would tell you if you want to experience success in Destiny 2's Crucible environment is you need to understand that you cannot overcommit to a kill. Rule number 1, do not overcommit to a kill, do not over pursue a kill. If you find yourself in a scenario where you are in a 1v1 engagement and you shoot a guy a bunch of times and he is barely alive and he runs away and he breaks for cover, do not just assume that you can safely pursue him. Don't get too hungry for that kill that you are going to give up your positioning, you're going to give up your cover to step out and pursue that kill. That will get you killed a lot, and I mean a lot. Overcommitting to kills without properly weighing the risk and reward can be one of the most devastating things that will ruin your experience in this game, because of the added frustration you have when you get somebody within an inch of their life and then you don't get rewarded for that. When you push out and then you get killed because lo and behold, they're baiting you back into their teammates, or you step out into a lane to pursue that kill and somebody else has a line of sight on you, they start tagging you up, you get back to where the initial guy that you tagged up is now positioned, and you're hurt now because you walked through a lane, took some shots, and he's already starting to recover his health, or maybe he threw down a healing rift, maybe he threw down a Titan barricade and blocked you off, and now you're just up the creek without a paddle. So, rule number 1, tip number 1, do not overcommit to a kill if you've done damage to somebody. If you're playing with teammates, call out that person's position. Understand that there is value to what you just did. Even if you didn't get the kill, what you did is you essentially took that player off of the field of play for a little bit of time. Even if that didn't translate directly into a kill, you still did something of value. Tip number 2. Now this tip is going to be nothing new to my community. You've heard me say it literally hundreds of times. But in Destiny 2, if you want to experience success in the Crucible environment, use your vertical space. That's right! There is an entire other axis that you can travel on, right? You can move in a 2-dimensional plane on the flat surface that your feet are touching. You can move forward and backwards and right and left, but you can also move up and down. So, Destiny gives you lots of movement options that you can utilize, be it blink or your glide, your double jump, whatever it is. You can get up above your opponent. One of the best ways to get kills is to bait people. If they have shot you, they've done damage to you, and you break line of sight, you run around a corner, they can no longer see you, and they start to pursue. Once they start to get close to that corner, you jump up in the air and you shoot down on top of their noggins. Now, the majority of their hitbox from your perspective is going to be their head, aka their crit zone. So you're going to do a lot more damage from a higher position, and they're going to do less damage because A, they come around the corner and you're not where they expected you to be. So they have to take time to reorient their sights and reposition their sights and look up at you, right? So that can be one of the biggest game changers in your gameplay. It'll be one of the things that will take you from mediocre to pretty solid pretty quick, is if you learn to use that vertical space. Now you can go down as well. A lot of these maps have lots of elevation changes. You can go underneath various objects and structures to take cover, so you can really juke people out. Make sure you use your vertical space. Don't just think about the space that you can walk on, but there's a lot of space above that surface that you can utilize and use to your advantage. Tip number 3. When you are in your super, you are not invincible. You have to be smart about the way that you use your super. Super does not mean invincible. Do not pop your super if you are in clear line of sight of an opponent, because you have to go through the time that it takes to do your super animation. You start to raise that golden pistol up into the air and let out this giant, ominous audio cue that lets everybody know what you're doing. And so they start to teamfire you, and you're melted before you can ever aim down the sights of your golden gun or whatever your super is that you just cast. So never, never, never pop your super when people can see you. Only do it when there is no line of sight that you're aware of. There are moments where you can pop your super when people can see you and you can get kills with it. Yeah, that happens. It is possible. That happens from time to time. But as a general rule, don't make yourself take more damage than you need to take. Make sure that you go through that super animation in cover and then you push out and start to pursue opponents. Also, don't run in a straight line when you pop your super. You're not invincible. Energy weapons can shred you in mere seconds. So you absolutely have to use your cover to your advantage. Make sure that you're making smart approaches when you're pursuing opponents when you are in your super. Super does not equal invincible. Don't play reckless, don't play dumb, don't play overly aggressive when you pop that super. Rule number 4, Destiny 2 requires so much more teamfire than Destiny 1 ever did. It is still Destiny, but it plays a lot differently than Destiny 1 played. In the PvP environment, there is now such a focus on teamfire that you need to be mindful of that when you go out there. Don't go off by yourself. I've had this so many times already where I'm playing and I see a blueberry off by themselves in some random corner of the map and they're starting to solo push multiple people, and lo and behold, they die and we lose points and the other team is starting to get a significant lead on us, and it's like, really, dude? Really? That's not how this works. Not anymore. You can't just ape anymore. It doesn't work like that. There are scenarios where you can have big plays when you're outnumbered, but for the most part, it's harder to outplay multiple people than it was in Destiny 1. You have to be smarter than that. So, even as a solo player, you can teamfire. All you have to do is be mindful of your teammates' positions. Try to stick near them. Doesn't mean you have to stand beside them, but challenge the same areas that they're challenging. You can go on a flanking route and still teamfire and focus fire in the same general area as your teammates without being right next to them. But just try and be mindful of where your teammates are, where they're challenging, and what they're shooting at, and try and do the same. Also, on the flip side of that, if you see that there are teammates by you, and this ties back into tip number 1, if you get somebody tagged up on the enemy team, but you take damage in the process, feel free to dip into cover and substitute out. You will get credit for the kill if your teammate steps in and mops up that kill. You'll still get credit for it, so don't overcommit to that kill. Feel free to sub out and let your teammates teamfire. And on the flip side of that, make sure you're doing the same. If you see your teammate challenging somebody, they take some damage, you can even slide in front of them and be a bullet sponge for them and mop up the kill, and then you both recover your health and you come out on top of that gunfight. Teamfire, hugely important in Destiny 2. Tip number 5, last tip, make sure you use the in-game information that is available to you to dictate how you go about approaching your gunfights. So, there's a lot of information on your HUD. It looks different than Destiny 1 did. Now, if you look up at the top of the screen, you will see what supers your teammates have, what supers your opponents have. You can see what their subclasses are, who's got their super charged, and so you know when you go into a firefight, if you see, hey, the Hammer of Soul guy has a super active, well, you run into a room and you see a Titan, and you're like, oh, that's the Hammer of Soul guy. I know that because I've been playing this match for 5 minutes, and I know that he's been throwing incendiary grenades. This guy's got a super active. Well, hey, now you know that you should probably have your energy weapon out just in case he pops his super. You can melt him quickly. Or, if you know that Hammer of Soul guy has a super and you peek around a corner and you see him, you can say, hey, good thing I saved my suppressor grenade because now I know that this is the guy I'm saving it for, right? You look up at the top, you see that they have supers active, so you say, well, I'm not going to waste my grenade right now. I'll save it until I hear somebody pop their super, and then I'll throw it. So you have a lot of information available to you on the HUDs telling you information. You also have information in the lower left that tells you when an opponent has picked up power ammo. So you see Roger Dodger XX745 has picked up shotgun ammo, and it says where. Where did he pick it up? Well, he picked it up at the market. Okay, well, that's the other side of the map. I know that this guy right around the corner from me doesn't have a shotgun. He's not a shotgun guy. Or you say, I'm right by the market, so this red blip on my radar right around the corner, this is shotgun guy. guy. So maybe I shouldn't just walk right through this door and let him blast me in the face with a bunch of buckshot. That would be a bad idea. So you definitely have to get used to reading the information that's available to you and making an informed decision about how you're going to approach your engagements based on the information that you've been given. So these are my top 5 tips. First tip was don't overcommit to kills, don't over pursue your kills. Tip number 2, use your vertical space to your advantage. Tip number 3, having a super doesn't mean that you're invincible. Make sure you pop it in cover and be smart about the way that you use it. Tip number 4, Teamfire is hugely important in Destiny 2, more important than it ever was in Destiny 1. Make sure you're doing it, keeping that in mind. And finally, use the information that's given to you on your HUD to make informed decisions about how you will approach your engagements. I hope this was helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the Crucible.